Okay, everybody, how we feeling? You feeling good? Detroit Lions get a victory. It is not the prettiest, and also it is the prettiest of victories. It's the weirdest thing. It's like not good looking, but also extremely good looking because we started off really, really well. And then it got weird. It got kind of ugly. There were some mistakes. The defense kind of reverted back to not being great in portions of this game, but we found a way to get it done. And I think the more and more I look at things, the more I go back for things, the more I just realize the Detroit Lions have played 4 games where they have not looked great. And they are, or is it even 5 games in a row? The Raiders, I don't know if that counts, but they are 4-1 in those games. They are 3-1 in those games where they're not looking great, but they are still getting victories. And that is why we can get rid of what's up, man?
Hey, man.
How you doing?
Good. Keep going. Keep going.
All right. I was just talking about how I just feel like the Lions haven't looked good in a month, right? Like fully good. Like we're it's a team where it's like we're used to seeing it and they just look phenomenal. They haven't looked that in a really long time. And yet they're 3-1 in that month. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you're kind of bummed out, but at the same time, it's like, well, the team keeps winning. I mean, we're 9-3, so 3-1 is what we do even when we were looking good. Like that's just the way it goes.
And I thought the Lions, because this was an odd game,
Weird game.
It was a weird game, but I thought they looked good today. I really did. I thought offensively that's what we needed, 30, however many points, and I thought the offense looked good, and I thought the defense was good enough. But it's weird because it was anytime, whether the other team or we jump out to that early lead, it's gonna get weird at the end. It's always weird, but just what happens is that margin for error for them really went down, and then they had that fumble, and then Jamison, what's their quarterback's name on their side?
Oh, Jameis Winston.
Jameis, thank you, Jameis.
Oh my goodness.
Which was just like, okay, good. Like we're good. So anyway, what did you
Winston experience?
What did you think of? Give me this. Give me one thing that you loved today, and I'll give you my thing I loved as well. Go ahead.
Okay. One thing I loved today. Can I give you 2?
Yeah.
Or is it a thing or a player? Can it be either? You feel good either way?
Yep. Either way.
Okay. So the thing that I loved today were 2 players, but the one that was just out of nowhere was Jalen Reeves-Maybin. I loved him today. He made 2 or 3 plays on the defensive side. He made 2 or 3 plays on special teams. Like the dude was everywhere. And it's just like, well, he's not supposed to be here. Like you haven't heard his name called in 2 months. And then you have Alex Anzalone go out. So all of a sudden they're like, hey, let's use some of the experience in Reeves-Maybin. We'll let him play a little bit on the defense. He's always playing on special teams. But it was just so much fun to watch him, like big stops and pass coverage against Kamara. He sniffs out the reverse and stops it in the backfield. That's honestly, that's the one thing I love is a guy that's been here, knows it, has done it, and gets the opportunity to play and just is absolutely outstanding for his role.
I love that one. I love Sam Laporta.
Yeah, that would be the other one.
Yeah. I mean, hello. Like and we'll get to that more in just a second, but since you did a player, I'll do more of a philosophy. I love Dan Campbell, end of the games. He's really gotten this down and really comfortable with going for the win. And there was a couple points right at the end here. We could have ran it. They were out of timeouts. They would have taken down to a minute. We could have punted. It's like, yeah, you could do that, but we've got the ball. Go win. Go to try to win. And if it's incomplete, well, then fine. Let's punt it to him now. But I love the philosophy. So there's twice we got those 2 first downs, huge first downs, and win the game. So you have to have the philosophy number 1, but then the players number 2. And that makes me realize, and I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here. Stay with me. How bad the Lions teams were in the Matt Millen era. And what I mean by that is, you remember, you never saw just like a good executed pass. I mean, it was just, so we're executing, we're doing things to close out games. That was great to see, because don't forget, it's at New Orleans. They're leading their division. So they're playing with everything they got. So to close out the game is something I really loved.
Yeah, they're tied for their division. I think they didn't have the tiebreaker, but like they need to go in and get a victory. The Saints did. Like they're desperate, and they played like they were desperate after they got down 21-0, right? And I love what you said. Like it gets weird when you get that big of a lead that fast, and you knew it would get weird. Like I even thought the exact same thing. I was sitting there, my wife's like, "Whoa, 21-0," and I'm like, and it's about to get ugly. Right? Like you can't keep it up.
No.
And you just can't. I think there's a couple things that I didn't love. I didn't love that after the first 3 touchdowns, it was just field goals. There were 2 field goals and then I know one, but anyways, there were some struggles on that. It felt like we kept letting them back in. But the defense made plays. They didn't look good. I don't think they look good for the majority of the day, but the defense made plays. So can we just spend like the next 5 minutes or something, Chris, talking about this defense and where they're at? Just give me your honest opinion of where they're at. I'll even throw a box score up here at some point, but let me know what you think of where the defense is at this point.
Well, I'm just, I think we have gotten. I don't know what our expectations are as fans. I guess would be the key. If you would have told me, in 2021, defense is terrible, and that is a truly terrible defense. Everybody here, defense is poor. Gave up multiple 30-yard. I get it. But this is not a
playoffs are going to be painful.
Yeah. Listen to us. Oh, it's gonna suck in the playoffs. Like,
what is going on?
What do you want? We 18-0 or 21-0 or whatever. Let's just never lose a game. So my point is, we remember 2021. That was terrible defense. Last year, bad but came on. This is and I'm stealing your thunder here, but it does feel like when we have somebody's number, we really dominate them. And then if we get behind and don't know what to do, then it's really troublesome. But my overall thing is the defense elite? No. Are they terrible? No. But that's what I've been wanting, is just a middle of the road defense. And everyone's gonna yell at me because it's like, but just remember how bad the defense was. So I'm generally happy that they're able to keep us generally in the game, and it's all about your expectations. So if you want an elite Super Bowl caliber defense, no, we just don't have that. But I think they're good enough defensively if our offense is the engine. And so when I evaluate our defense, it's like, just keep us around when the offense is struggling a little bit. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, because I don't love our defense. There's a lot of thing I could point to, but my point is they're good enough. And don't forget, we've had a bad defense the last couple of years. This is much better.
Yeah. So I understand that. I think the struggle I have more than anything is with the defense. I get what you're saying, and I know I've said it 100 times in the past. It seems like he has your number until he doesn't, and then he really doesn't have it. The only stops we had in this game were mistakes that the Saints made. Like they were just absolute, hot garbage. The first 3 drives that they got the ball, they were absolutely terrible.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It made the butt fumble look good. And so like it was really, really bad. They're making mistakes. They have bad timing. Our defense is flying around, not necessarily like stopping them. They're stopping themselves. And then they start to get a little traction, and we just can't stop them. Right? We just can't stop them. And then a little luck even went their way with the tip pass by Brian Branch, just playing good defense. Should have been a pick by Jacobs if it's not tipped, but then it ends up being a catch for Olave. Like, all those kind of things go in. But the Saints, their offense is starting to come around, so I'm not as worried about it. But man, oh man, I would be lying to you. I would be lying to everybody, the 150 people watching right now, if I said I'm not worried about this defense. I am. And I do believe that this is a defense, unless fixed, that will cost us a chance at a championship. right?
Mhm.
Like, because like you said, if we have a middle of the road defense, what they can do is they can have games where they play like a top 10 defense, and they can have games where they play like a bottom 10 defense, right? And we've just been playing like a bottom 10 defense over the last month or so. And that's been kind of the hard part. So I'm just worried that this is a defense that doesn't have the ability to play like a top 10 defense against some good football teams. What do you think about that? Do you think they do?
No, I mean, you start looking at it, you start looking like, do you give us any chance against the Eagles, right? You would just be like, never would, because it's mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
There's different matchups that just don't feel good at all against our defense, and I think we were, again, I'll go back to how bad we were, and then you add like the CJ Gardner-Johnson, the Mosleys, the James Houstons.
Yep.
We can't afford injuries to those key spots.
Yeah.
We're just not there. We haven't built that up yet. Brad Holmes hasn't had a chance
It's not like the offense, right?
right, and just
Yeah.
not there. So yeah, I don't think we need the right matchup as we go forward in through this stretch run and into the playoffs. So, but this was a huge step to get this victory and hang on enough. But yeah, if Carr doesn't go out there, I don't know what happens.
I don't know what happens, but I also know that based on what Goff did on that final drive, right, to keep us in it, I know based on what the offense has done, like even if Carr goes back in there, they march down the field and score, I still have confidence that Jared Goff is going to lead this team back down the field. Like that's still there. And I'm not saying Jared Goff. Jared Goff had his very standard. All right. And I'll throw this back up. Like, could you pick a more standard Jared Goff road game?
Nice.
Like,
Yep.
he throws for just over 200 yards. We try and control the crowd with the run game. He throws for just over 200 yards, 25 attempts, and he's just very efficient. And he looks good, not great. Like that's just the way it goes. He looks good, not great. And that's just what he does. But his QB rating was like 117 for this game. It was really good. Hey, thank you, Steve. That's awesome,
Steve.
Man.
How about Jamal Williams' stat line? Love it. I don't like Jamal Williams.
Oh, good. See, you said Jamal Williams, and for a second there, I thought you said Jamison, and I'm like, take it easy.
Yeah.
Dude, how nice is it to watch him look like a bad running back? I don't mean that in a mean way.
No, I know you.
You're not as good as you thought you were. Yep. You were good here.
Yep. And it was great. Like, yeah, he's not just out there just shining. It's like, no, you are who we thought you were. But yeah, Jamison Williams, this is what we've been all asking for as fans. Like, get this guy. That was a perfect play. I mean, he's like, it felt like 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage once he got it. And I was like, oh boy, what's going? And then he's full speed, and man, he could have ran forever on that one.
Dude, I got another thing that I want to talk about here.
Yeah.
All right. It's 13 minutes in. Okay. Still 150 people watching. And when you look at this comment section, are we mostly positive or mostly negative in this comment section?
Negative.
Would you what if you told me, hey, we just went on the road, we beat the Saints by 5. To improve our record to 9-3, we have a full 3-game lead in the North. We're going to go do a live show after the game. What do you think that comment thread's going to be like? If I asked you that at the beginning of the season, what would you have said?
Oh, just pumped. Completely insanely pumped. It's the computer's going to break with just all the yeah, exactly. And that is what we
I hear you, JC. We are 9-3. Like,
we're 9-3. No, you're right. You're right, Craig. Hey, we're going to go on the road to New Orleans. They are leading their division, and I get it. They're 5-6, but they're leading their division, and we're gonna win and go 9-3. And I think we just it's just our nature. Anyone that's gonna be negative or like we're not doing fire this by, it's our nature. We want to it's the NFL, man. You just survive and advance. It is seriously like the NCAA tournament,
right?
When you just get the win, you survive and advance. Fresh week next week, who knows? And yeah, you're always trying to clean up things, but I mean they get paid too. And we're 9-3, man. This is awesome, and this is the game we're going to remember on the way to the NFC North championship. I really believe that. So,
I get
oh
you there.
yes,
And I think for me, this is what I look
pull it
at.
up.
And I start to have one of these things because Lions teams in the past, I remember the year when I was younger when we started off 6-3 and we didn't make the playoffs.
Yes.
Right. And it's just like it was like a runaway train that could not stop. Because here's the thing, if you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, they are 10-1, right? Is that what their record is?
Yeah, I
Or
think so.
so they're 10-1. They're playing the 49ers right now. And so you're sitting here, and for the first like 6 or 7 games of the season, everybody's like, what's wrong with the Eagles? The offense was not clicking. It wasn't going, but their defense was playing just well enough. And their defense isn't what it was last year, but they just kept winning. They just kept winning. So here's the deal. We've been playing bad, or at least seemingly the first 6 weeks, it felt like we could do no wrong, right? Like, remember how good it felt? I mean, after the loss to Seattle, so we beat the Chiefs, we go and we dominate Atlanta, we dominate Green Bay, we dominate Carolina, we dominate Tampa Bay, and we're like, we're the best team in the world.
Yeah.
And then we get throttled. And then we can't score a touchdown to save our life against the Raiders. We have a bye in week 9. Our defense is terrible against the Chargers. Our defense is bad against the Bears. We have turnovers like crazy. We lose to the Packers with turnovers. And then we eke out a win in New Orleans. What's the difference? Victories.
Mm-hmm.
We're 9-3. I don't know how else to say it. Like, I don't know what the hope is. And I'm talking to me here. This is therapy for myself. All right. Because I don't know what the hope is. I don't know if our hope was we'd be a team that was 9-8 last year. We'd have it all figured out and we'd win every game by 15 points.
Right.
It's the NFL.
It's the NFL. And
NFL.
we were just in 2021, we were the worst team. I mean, one of the worst teams. Remember, we took it down to the studs, and it's just like we have nobody, and it's just like, oh boy. And this couple years later, 9-3. This is amazing, and you nailed it. You just got to win when you can win. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna advance. We got to. But I mean, just go to the offense. How many times in this game, just huge throws to Laporta? Gotta have them throws. I mean, that's just. And we're like, oh, okay, we shouldn't have been in 3rd and 8. And, no, it's 3rd. We just made so many good plays, and 9-3 is just it's awesome, man.
So, all right, I'll do another one for you. Invisible stats. If you didn't know it before the game, one Detroit Lions receiver had 9 targets with 9 catches for 140 yards and a touchdown. Name the player. It's St. Brown.
St. Brown, yeah.
Another player has 6 targets for 2 catches, 49 yards and a touchdown. Name the player. Oh, that might be Laporta. Nope. It's flipped. And isn't that part of what makes this team so special? They shut down St. Brown. And so Goff's just like, okay, well, then I'll just go 9 of 9 to Laporta. Like, there are so many weapons.
Dude.
And there are so many weapons, Chris. It's unbelievable. Like, it's okay. We don't have to play perfect to win because we're that talented.
We're that talented offensively. And we know just at the end of the day, offense has to make it work. I love this comment because this is what I thought. I thought, oh, broke his collarbone when he dove into the end zone. I thought,
dude,
out for the season. No.
As soon as he left his feet. No.
Just no, you nailed it. So we know the offense has to make this go. I mean, in big games or as we get down, as we're in the stretch run, and that's what happened. The offense just played well. You hit the Laporta touchdown, the St. Brown touchdown, the Jamison Williams reverse. I mean, there's just big plays. You score 33 points or whatever we scored, and you score in the 30s, you're going to win, and it's the offense. So when the offense struggles against Chicago, turnover, struggles against Green Bay, we don't have the defense to just dominate, hold us in it. We just don't.
Yeah, we don't have that defense. And here's the thing. I'm not going to panic on this team until we lose 2 or 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Because right now we're not playing well and we're still winning. I think it's more likely that we start to find it again, just like our offense did today.
Yep.
Right. I think it's more likely that we start to find the groove again than it is that we just continue to play worse and worse and worse until we can't win a game.
Right. Exactly. That's not exactly. That's what we all are thinking. Oh boy, we're done. It's like, no. We're yeah. And Oh, why'd I even put that up there? I messed that one.
What are you doing?
Um, the roughing the passer on Carr, and by the way, Irvin getting in there, love seeing that. But the roughing the passer, that's roughing the passer. You can't drive him into the
That
ground.
was so egregious.
So sorry.
Like, that was so obvious. And by the way, Bruce Irvin, can we just talk about him for a second?
Yes.
That was really good.
Mm.
Like, I understand the roughing the passer is terrible, but he showed the ability to actually get to the quarterback. And some of that does tell me here's a weird thing. Here's a weird take on that. Because this whole time I'm watching this game, I'm like, Aaron Glenn, what are you doing? And on the back end, it's so weird how bad of a zone team we are. We always play zone, and there's just massive holes in the zone. But the Bruce Irvin thing does tell me, like, oh, he came here and he was immediately successful. So this is a system that can be successful. So maybe there is just a struggle with talent opposite side of Hutch. Maybe it's not a system issue.
And you nailed something. Zone, we're not strong. Here's the problem. We're not strong at zone.
We'll keep it
We're
going.
not. I'm always like, let's blitz. But I've noticed when we do blitz, we're not good at it. We don't get home. And you're just like, uh-oh. Like, if you don't get home and we send some all-out blitzes sometimes, which I don't like, because we're not good at blitzing, which is interesting. So blitzing's not good, zone's not good. So then you play man. And in the NFL, I mean, it's hard to play man over and over. So then you do try to. So it's just, we're not good at things defensively that you wish you would, especially blitzing. Like, when you got to have it, we're sending the house and nobody gets through. That's not good.
Yeah. It's not good. And I think there are some things, like, when you watch this game, Aaron Glenn clearly tried to do new things. Like, the blitzing was there in the early part of the game, as opposed to, I had talked about it in a video before, where he doesn't start blitzing till the fourth quarter. By the time you're like, why haven't you been doing this? Right. So the blitzing was there, but yes, there were some open throws and a lot of open receivers. And there was a lot of open receivers, especially in the second and third quarter, even in the fourth. But there were also plays where we had their number, and that's what put us in position to get turnovers.
That's right.
And so I think those are big, and we had a couple bounces go our way. But I'm going to tell you right now, if, Juwan Johnson doesn't drop the very first pass of the game and it goes for a Brian Branch interception, how similar did that look to the Kansas City interception that he had?
Exactly. I mean, it was right in his hands too.
Right there. Like, if he doesn't do that, if there's not a fumble in the snap with Derek Carr, this is a different game.
Oh yeah. No, it was, oh my gosh. And I loved seeing, though, what was I going to say? Oh, they made mistakes. They made a lot of mistakes. And the fact that they were in this game, it tells me two things. Tell me if I'm crazy here. Number one, our defense isn't great, and they were able to hit some chunk plays. Number two, it's football. And here's what I don't know.
Yeah.
So like every team is so yeah, you're up by 10 or you're up by 12. Well, that's two scores. I mean,
I know.
So you're never really, unless you're way out in front. And like you said, hey, you go out 21-0. That's great. And I mean, obviously you take that every time, but you're just not going to get up 40-0 at halftime. I mean, so you can't keep
Unless you're the Dolphins.
going. So yeah, so there, it's just a great lesson for me on both sides of it, of like, if you get down early, hang in there, something. If you're up early, it's football. There, it's like a couple scores, you can get right back into it. So I just think defensively, though, I'd love to see us just get more consistent pressure. Maybe Bruce Irvin helps with that. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. And I think maybe he does. Maybe. He started to today, which was really good. Houston, if he ever comes back, would be helpful. I was really hoping Pascal was going to be the guy. So I have two questions for you. All right. I'm going to give them to you one at a time. First one seems like it's low-hanging fruit, but it's a legitimate question. People, this isn't just for Chris. Answer on yours. You've already been telling us a lot in the chat anyway. Is Aaron Glenn getting to a point where you wonder if his job is in jeopardy?
Oh, I don't. That's a great question, because It's easy, right? Yes, yes. Well, hold on. You got to look at the talent out there. That's my biggest
Okay.
thing is you've got Hutch, but is Hutch, we were all just ready to crown him a Bosa
Mm-hmm.
star, right? It's like, hold on, it's in his second year. He's definitely developing, but he's slowed. He's definitely slowed. Defensive tackles, we got to Lee McNeil, but then other opposite edge, what do you got? Linebacker, Anzalone's very solid. Is he elite? No. Got Jack Campbell coming up, but you've got, you just go, I have to go through every player. I guess I will, but so I just don't think the talent is there defensively. It may not matter who you have as a defensive coordinator. So I think ultimately he will stay and
Yeah.
we'll try to get better defensively is what I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is very interesting that you say this. I'm getting to the point with Aaron Glenn where it's like, yeah, he's going to be here for the year, most likely.
Yeah.
And then somehow I hope he gets a head coaching job because I think that's the best for everybody. Like, I think that's the best for everybody because I think he's a better head coach than he is a defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we're better off with a new defensive coordinator, but not with dividing the locker room because I think players really do like Aaron Glenn.
Yep.
I think they trust Campbell and they know where to go and they see the shortcomings. And I think you just need to give this defense an offseason where Brad Holmes just focuses on the defense.
Yes.
Focuses money, focuses draft capital, and the defense gets there. I also think you said, let's look at talent. Well, CJ Gardner-Johnson is out. With him being out, like everybody in that back end is average to below average for a starter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was the hope. I think we actually hope to have a lot more out of Kirby Joseph this year. I really do. It hasn't been great. And so CJ Gardner-Johnson playing that role would be so much better.
Huge.
Just it's night and day. And then you'd have a star in the back end. And who knows? Maybe this is good. Maybe we can re-sign him on the cheap again because he got hurt and he never got to show what he could do.
That's right.
So
no, I love what you said, and what a weird world we live in, right? Where the guy that we want fired is actually in line for a promotion, and yet it makes total sense. It's like, yep, he would be the perfect guy for a head coaching job. I mean, he's revered in the locker room. He's been in the league, all the things that make him a really good head coach. But you're right. I just think a new voice, something is just a touch off, and I think you combine the right defensive coordinator with fresh new talent, CJ Gardner-Johnson, another draft, some free agency, and man, this team is really well-rounded all over the place.
Yeah, and a lot of guys that are going into their second year, third year that are going to continue to develop. Okay, so that was question 1. Question number 2. Do you believe that Ben Johnson, we know he's a good coordinator. We don't need to talk about that. Do you like the way he is bringing along Jamison Williams right now?
Oh, I really don't.
Hey, Eric's here.
Hey, Eric, what up, Eric? Get him in there,
dude.
Thank you, Eric. That's my thought. Okay, I wish what they did today is what I've been asking for right there. Get the ball in his hands so you would have asked me before this game, I would have said, what are we doing? Get him the ball, reverse. Like that would be the biggest thing. Put him on kick return. I don't know if you saw it today, but they kicked it short. I feel like you could do like a reverse, just get him the ball. If he trips over himself, then fine, but you're trying to get it. So in general, I don't like it, but I like what I saw today. How about you?
Yeah, I think it's time to take the kid gloves off.
Yeah.
I think it's time. I mean, I thought, and I made a video even this week about how this is the week that he goes off. Yep. And I was talking about how the Saints are going to take away the middle of the field. And for the most part, they really did try to take away the middle of the field. You had the honey badger in the middle of the field, so you have to be careful with that. They know Goff loves to throw over the middle of the field. So it only makes sense for Jamison Williams to be in and get some deep shots and things like that. It just set up perfectly for a JMO breakout. And his snap count didn't increase. Like he continued, and Josh Reynolds is out here. And by the way, great play by Josh Reynolds on the final play of the game that wasn't a kneel down to hold that block for just a second and then go. That's a veteran presence. Great. Have him out there for those things. right? But he's had multiple drops in the last couple games.
Yep.
Jamison Williams hasn't had a drop. Jamison Williams hasn't messed up. I watch him very closely when he's out there. He's not messing things up when he's out there. He's not running the wrong routes. He's not dropping balls. In fact, he had a couple of contested catches. And like, at what point are we going to say, all right, take the keys and put them in the ignition and let's go?
And I think it comes back to Goff is just not used to his speed, because you see this a lot with Tyreek Hill, where Tua's just throwing it. It's like, what are you doing? And then by the time it gets to Tyreek Hill, he's 6 yards behind the defender. And it's like, dang, this guy is so fast. And so, because I love when you bring up Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds and Jamison, really similar builds, kind of a taller, skinnier guys. But that just shows you how Jamison is just, it's so electric. And I hope that Goff starts, just throw it. It's like, he's not past them or what, he's not open, but just throw it. And I think he's there. He's open.
Yeah. Here's what I have to say. The Jamison Williams things, it is what it is. We can talk about Aaron Glenn, and I haven't seen, I dare someone to put on the comment bar that they like Aaron Glenn, because all we've seen is fire Aaron Glenn, get rid of Aaron Glenn. I dare someone to like him and be a man enough to admit it.
Be man enough.
Yeah, do it. But we can talk about Aaron Glenn. We can talk about the use of Jamison Williams. We can talk about how Goff hasn't been playing well until today. He did play well today. We can talk about the offensive line and their kind of struggles. We can talk about the lack of pass rush. We're 9-3. I can't go back to that enough. And I hope as Lions fans, we can start getting behind victories.
Yeah.
Let's get behind victories. That's all I have to say.
100%. 100% agree. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We're 9-3. The only thing, real quick.
Yeah, keep it going.
Ragnow injury. I just don't know what that is. And
not good.
Don't like a knee twisty.
Yeah, like he got it, like the it went straight into the back of his calf, right? And then they're saying it's a knee injury. He was just sitting there, man, like not moving his leg at all.
It was like the Aaron Rodgers, like, dang it. That's how it.
We gotta like Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, yeah. But that's how it didn't look good. I don't feel good about it. But yes, now this guy's got a lion drinking Kool-Aid, or no,
it's not. Get it out of there.
Get out of, what's he doing? So
that's not a Kool-Aid.
I'm like, that's an interesting Kool-Aid bottle. J-Dog, you dog. You are a dog.
Idiot.
That's
brutal. I do like this one from Casey. The idea of CJ Gardner-Johnson and Mosley both being hurt. Now you have Alex Anzalone out. Like, you would say those three guys in Hutch were your big, like, four guys of like, they're going to kind of be the face of the defense this year. Mm-hmm. And I really do think that's kind of what you walk into saying it, especially CJ Gardner-Johnson, Anzalone. I think those are big losses, but I will say this. And that's just one of those things is like when you were looking at New Orleans, they had a couple guys out and their defense has gone from like the 5th or 6th ranked defense in the league. In the last month, they've been like the 28th ranked defense because injuries hurt. I know it's next man up. I will admit that, but there's just only so much you can do with the guys that you have on the field.
Yep. And nope, that's perfectly said. We're 9-3.
9-3, baby.
That's awesome.
Everybody's excited.
That's
Last year, it took us 17 games to get our 9th victory.
Seriously, 9-3 with who do we got next? Let's just take a quick peek at the next.
I got you covered. You ready?
Yep.
You didn't know I'd be that quick, did you? All right. No. I didn't either.
At Chicago.
We're going to Chicago.
Perfect.
Let's go in there. Let's see what the Vikings did to, even though they had 4 turnovers, held Chicago to 12 points. Let's do that. Yep. All right. Let's model our defense off of that. And then we have week 15, we got the Broncos. All right. So with the Broncos coming into town, they got humbled a little bit by the Houston Texans today.
Man, those Texans are good.
Yeah, that was 2 6-5 teams, and whoever wins that kind of puts themselves more in the driver's seat for a wild card berth.
Yeah.
And then the end of the season is, you can tell me, does that terrify you or get you excited? At Minnesota, at Dallas, home against Minnesota.
Really excited because the head-to-head, we just got to win one of those two Minnesota games, and that's the divisions are. So I would.
So is San Francisco going to beat Philadelphia today?
I would think, just because Philly's gone through a gauntlet here and they can't keep winning, but I think so.
So if they don't, it's in Philly. We're the number 2 seed again, and we have a like we're back to the home field, and I mean we're home field at 3 as well, but like we're right there, man.
Yep. No, this is great. This is just keep going, and we're either going to be the 2 or 3 seed realistically if we just generally keep going. And I mean, this is great. 9-3. I'm happy.
This is it. All right, man. Hey, I think that's good enough for us. Thank you everybody for watching, and I guess we will see you on the next one. Sound good, Chris?
Sounds good. See ya.
Like, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, don't forget. See ya.
See ya.